1996, we have grown this organization to what it is today. Today, Rainoil Limited has more than 170 petrol stations spread across this country. We own 3 tank farms, 1 tank farm in Ogara, another one in Calabar, another tank farm in Ijebu in Lagos. We have an 8,000 metric ton LPG facility also in Lagos. We have a fleet of more than 300 tank trucks with which we distribute petroleum products across this country. And we provide direct employment to more than 2,000 people in this country, to the glory of God. Now, what are the strategies? What are the strategies for succeeding? The first thing I want to talk about is, what type of business do you go into? What kind of business do you go into? I tell people that the most important thing you need in any business you want to do is knowledge. The most important thing you need in any business you want to do is knowledge. When you put knowledge in front and capital is trailing knowledge, what tends to happen is that the knowledge acts as a protective shield over the capital. When you put capital in front and knowledge is trailing capital, what tends to happen is that you lose the capital to acquire the knowledge. And that's when we say you've learned the hard way. May it not be our portion to learn the hard way. You see, I will tell you something. There is money in this country. Look, there is so much money you have no idea. There is money begging to be made. If you drive from Igomu to Ikeja, there are cars everywhere. There are houses everywhere. The roads are jammed. I mean, I was listening to Vusi when he was talking about traffic and all. Our roads are jammed. There are cars. Listen, the man who is into oil and gas is making money. The man who is into IT is making money. The man who is into property is making money. The man who is into food is making money. The Bible admonishes us that whatsoever we lay our hands on shall prosper. But what we need to add is that we need to lay our hands on what we understand. Lay your hand on what you understand. I went into oil and gas because I had worked for an oil and gas company for 5 years. I understood the business. I knew that if I could lay my hands on that magical 300,000 naira, I will be able to make a success of it by the grace of God. If you look at the economy as a whole, if you look at the banking space, the most successful bankers, look at those banks, I don't want to name them. They are banks that were founded by people who themselves were bankers. And the same thing cuts across the entire economy. Number 2, financial discipline. Financial discipline. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you must have the right mindset about money. Identify and eliminate, redeploy unnecessary costs. Monitor your cash flow. You must be able to control money. For me, money is just a figure. It's just a number. It means nothing. There's no amount of money I will see that will make me buy what I did not plan to buy. Nothing. It's just a figure. It means nothing. You must be able to control money. You must have financial discipline. You know, turnover, like we say, is vanity. Don't get into the turnover game. There's only one set of people that turnover X. I'm not saying turnover is good, but insofar as you are making profit. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. You are only in business when your income exceeds your expenditure. If your income does not exceed your expenditure, you're just busy, you've just created activity. You must make profit. Don't get excited with turnover, because a company that does 100 million in turnover and makes 20 million naira in profit is better than a company that does 5 billion naira in turnover but is bleeding 100 million naira in losses. So look out for your bottom line. Profit is sanity. And then, of course, cash is king. Protect your liquidity. You know, accountants are very funny people, you know, but we can't do without them, right? You know, when you buy something for 100 million and you sell it for 120 million, once you issue the invoice, as far as they are concerned, you made a profit of 20 million, correct? But there's a bill of 1 million naira to pay. Oh, but I paid this bill. They say there is no money. How? You just made a profit of 20 million. How can you say that there is no money? What he's saying is that there is no cash, there is no liquidity. Protect your liquidity. Liquidity is very, very important. Cash is king. You know, as a kid growing up, there was this poster I used to see. You know, and it's stuck in my head. The poster had two men. One looked very fat and very prosperous with so much cash around him. And he says, I sell for cash. Another one looked very lean and famished. And he says, I sell for credit. You know, it just got stuck in me. As much as possible, sell for cash. Protect your liquidity. Keep your earnings in the business. Retained earnings is one of the best ways of growing a business. You know, like they say, 1 we chase 1,000, 10 we chase 10,000. It's the power of multiplication. 1 we chase 1,000, 2 we chase 10,000. It's the power of multiplication. As you make money, reinvest the money. Reinvest the money in the business and grow the business with the profit you're making. You know, Nigeria is a very peculiar environment if you want to run a business in this economy. Interest rates today, depending on how your business is rated, interest rates can run from anything from 17% to 27% or more. If you borrow money at 25%, that borrowing will double in 3 years. What the banks don't tell you is that interest rate is actually compound interest, correct? It's not simple interest because every month you're paying interest on interest. So there are very few businesses you can actually borrow money for at 25% and be able to survive. So for people like us, I'm in the oil and gas. I mean, you want to build a tank farm or you even want to build even a petrol station, if you borrow money to build a petrol station, you're dead. No, you're dead. So as much as possible, grow the business with your own equity. Borrow money to trade. That is for us, buy fuel, sell fuel, take it back to the bank. Buy fuel, sell fuel, take it back to the bank. So take your borrowing at the short end of the transactions as much as possible. I mean, I speak for myself now. As much as possible, don't use borrowing to do capital projects because your debt will spiral very quickly. You know, I see a lot of people who suddenly, it's like they are buried in debt and they don't know how they got there. It's because they are not keeping their eyes on those borrowings. And then another thing, you see, talking about money. If you borrow money from a bank, let's say a bank has given you 500 million naira. The fact that you can write a check of 50 million naira doesn't mean you have money. You don't have money. It's not your money. It's the bank's money. When you trade with the 500 million naira and you make 40 million naira in profit, you have to live like a man who has 40 million, not like a man who has 540 million. No, as a matter of fact, you have to live like a man who has less than 40 million because it's only a portion of your profit that you can consume. The rest you must plow back into the business. The biggest challenge I see a lot of people have is that they struggle to distinguish between their profit and their cash flow. Don't live off your cash flow. Live off a portion of your profit. That's very, very important. Build an effective network. It's not just the size of your network, it's the